We're standing there at sunrise at the Eiffel Tower and I marry people. Like, what a dream. I've really come to understand life as just these little sacred moments, and that this life of sojourning, everything is for but a moment.
Welcome to Created Creative. I'm Dawn.
And I'm Ruth. How is the show going?
Good. Opening night's always a hometown crowd, people who are loyal to the theater and want it to work and want to be supportive. So that's great. Not that it's ever a negative crowd. It's just sometimes people don't get us right away.
Yeah.
It's always such a relief. Like opening the show is such a big lift. In a high school or a community theater, you rehearse for months and then it leads up into this exciting one weekend. And I love high school and community theater because it's people who love it. They're only there because they love it. There's no other payoff. Like I'm way into that. It's all passion and it's all joy. Professional theater, you're expensive. Like the rehearsal time is as short as possible because if you are being paid to be there and not performing, you are not making money for this theater. So it's just a big lift to get the show open. And it's very fun and exciting. And these are people I worked with a lot. So it's very fun to collaborate with them. Everybody knows the show well. And a lot of people who are very passionate about, the costumer saw the way a joke was going. She's like, oh, it'd be funnier in this other dress.
Oh, I love that.
And the prop people going, oh, let's try the prop being this way. And there's like 200 props. So this is a whole thing. And the scenic people moving things just slightly to make the sightline better. And everyone's supporting the jokes. Everyone's supporting the storyline. So that is really fun.
I bet.
And then we have 2 intense days. You have 8-hour rehearsal days, but then, or 7.5. And then just to get it open, there's 2 intense days and then it's open. And then you just have all this free time.
Yeah.
To do the show once or twice a day. It's thing.
Yeah, during the day you're not doing those
So
anymore.
it's such a 180 spin of you. This is Lucy's, oh, you're around now.
Yeah. Hello, Mother.
So yesterday we were around during the day and the farmer that we're living on his land took us out through the field in the ATV.
Oh, fun.
There's going to be someone mad that I had a 2-year-old in an ATV. But
I think that's wonderful. What an experience. And
Oh my
gotta
gosh.
make the most of experiences like that.
And I was like, she will be the only person at her preschool in Brooklyn.
Exactly.
They like went through a ravine and a little creek.
That's amazing. What a
We
great
saw
experience.
the cattle. I've never thought this through. They raise cows. They're not longhorns, but they have the horns. It was another breed for the rodeo.
Really?
Raising
so
the cows for the
interesting.
rodeo.
Okay.
Somebody does that.
Yep. Very interesting.
And then way on the other end of the fields, there was this barn and he's like, well, we do have a place to practice. So we have this little coliseum. And then he said, years ago, we had a fundraiser for the theater there, kind of a barn dance. I was at it. It was in 2010.
Oh, my word.
So I've been to this farm before, but come at it another way. The farm is so big that it goes all the way to another major road and you approach the rodeo barn from this other road that I did not even know was his. And I had been on his land before.
Yeah, many years before.
Many years before.
I've been having a lot of experiences like that in Fergus Falls. Like I go to a nursing home and I'm like, I probably visited someone here when I was an intern pastor. And
Oh, you don't remember?
no, but that was in the 90s and things have been through several renovations.
It doesn't look the same.
One interesting thing that I did, so in Fergus Falls, there used to be the big state hospital there.
Oh, I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, so it's a big deal. Like it was built in the late 1800s and the design of it looks like a castle. It's just huge and sprawling and beautiful. Yeah. And these state hospitals before the 90s or so, they were sort of a catch-all for people with all sorts of mental and physical disabilities. And there's lots of stories. But some people went there and lived there their whole lives. And so they had like barns where the residents would help raise animals or gardens, where they would raise food.
To have some purpose in life. Yeah.
And of course, if they lived there their whole lives and they weren't connected with their families anymore, they died there. The place had its own morgue and its own cemetery. And so this place shut down in early 2000s, I think. Like before that, slowly people were being sent to more like
Group homes.
and places specific to be helpful to them. Anyway, this cemetery, it's way off behind where this building still is. And anyway, I went to find it yesterday, and that was really cool. And they're doing a project because it used to be all of those graves were unnamed.
Oh my goodness.
Now they're trying to put the names on all the graves. And it's fascinating, like lots and lots of women, because back a long time ago, like if a husband was like, she's crazy,
You just would
and
believe him.
yeah, and just put her away. And
So probably a lot of women who were fully mentally aware were kind of trapped, almost imprisoned in these hospitals. Like saying she's crazy, she's hysterical.
Or one story that I heard, this was different. A family who a little boy, and they brought him when he was just a little boy, and he lived his whole growing up time there. And then when he was a grown up, they realized, oh, he's just deaf.
No one had tested.
Yeah, like how did that even happen?
They
But
thought he was like dumb. They used to say dumb.
Yeah, but he had grown up there entirely, and then that was home to him. So then he ended up staying there, staying on and working there the rest of his life. But now I'm fascinated to learn all the stories of this place. And it started because a lady I was bringing communion to yesterday afternoon had worked there for like many years. And so that
She knew the stories.
Yeah, sent me down a rabbit hole. Oh, now I need to learn everything. But yeah. Anyway, and I'm excited I was able to go get a copy of our guest's book, Ruffled by Grace. And this actually went in some of the consecrates this last month, too.
So, who is
that
our
was
guest?
exciting. Her name is Michelle Wahila, and her book is beautiful, Ruffled by Grace. Yeah.
And she was doing an interesting living, creating third culture kids.
In Paris.
Yes. She's American, raising children in France.
Yeah. So enjoy this interview with Michelle. Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Michelle, would you take a few moments to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. So my name is Michelle Wahila. I am an ordained Presbyterian pastor, and I have served churches in PA, New York, and Paris. And now I serve in a creative ministry outside of the church, tangentially related to the church, called Ruffled by Grace. And I'm the creative director and lead pastor of that creative ministry.
Excellent.
Love it.
Yes.
We're going to need to know everything.
Yes.
Tell me where to start.
Like, what really is that? This creative ministry that's adjacent to the church, and you're still a Presbyterian pastor and all that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's kind of a multifaceted ministry that has grown somewhat organically over the years. But the first thing I do is serve couples who are coming to France to be married, who are seeking an Anglophone pastor or spiritual companion and guide for their wedding ceremony. So that's the first portion of what I do. And I also lead retreats of various sorts in Paris and in the countryside of France. Then finally, I write, and it's all sorts of things, but liturgies and worship related things are like one of my main focuses.
Awesome.
So does like the PCUSA or one of our denominations in the U.S. place people in Paris?
No.
Okay. Well, how does it happen?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So I received a call to a large sort of interdenominational Anglophone church in Paris in 2012, and my presbytery allowed me to labor outside of the bounds of the presbytery. And so I did that for several years, and then when I left that post, had a little moment where I was recovering from church, like serving as a stay-at-home mom, and that was great in Paris. Perfect. And then when I started to do weddings, and I realized that it was like a very unique ministry that was needed, I wanted to be a bit more accountable, because it was up until that point one-off. I'm sure I'll do your wedding or I'll do this wedding, but there was no oversight. There was no vision for it. And I was like, I can't function like that. I'm too Presbyterian for this.
You need a structure.
Yeah. So I kind of went back to my home presbytery, and it was the women. It was like a ladies' breakfast, a ladies' clergy breakfast. They just turned to me and they're like, no, we're going to get you back here, and we're going to get you validated, and you're going to come home, and we're going to take care of you. And like a month later, my paperwork had been transferred from Pittsburgh to Susquehanna Valley in New York. And I was in a validated ministry and part of that Presbyterian again.
Okay.
And leave it to the women to do
Yeah.
the work.
Get it done.
Yeah.
So you're talking like English-speaking people, Americans, British, whoever, coming
Yes.
to Paris just to get married.
Well,
They're
yes
not.
and no. Again, good question. I serve a lot of couples who are coming to Paris just to get married. And you would be shocked at the amount of people that have decided to get married in Paris. They've done all their planning and they have a beautiful venue and all of their vendors. And then they're like,
Somebody needs to do it.
yeah. I think as pastors, that cracks us up because it happens all the time in the church and like we're to that. But I think for me, it's even, okay, you've decided to go across the ocean and you still haven't come to this piece of your ceremony. So sometimes I'm like, oh, and I try to do the best I can in that kind of a situation. A lot of times I am the compromise, for lack of better words, because there's either the multi-faith marriage, it's some sort of denominational mélange, it's all sorts of things. And so I love being in that position because I sometimes get to work with the rabbi too. Like that's an amazing opportunity where because I'm really not in this church structure, I can say yes to everyone, which is amazing. And then the third portion of my clients are really, we've left the church people, but they still want this sort of like spiritual moment or sacred moment for their weddings. And when they stumble upon my website, they're like, oh yes, this is what we want. So it's such a neat thing because I can say yes to everyone.
Were you fluent in French before you went there?
No. And if you ask my children, I still am not.
Because they learned it better.
Yeah, for sure. Like I definitely am, out of the four of us, my husband and my two boys, like the worst French speaker. And it is because I do work in English so often. And when I was in the church, I was working in English and didn't learn as well as everyone else did in the beginning. So now I'm like, I am still the one that needs the help. But it's great having teenagers because I can be like, can you translate this for me? And they come to my assistance.
So your kids were they were little when you went?
Yeah, I moved across the ocean with an infant and a toddler.
Wow.
And what made that happen? Why does one move across the ocean with an infant and a toddler?
Yeah, because really 0 out of 10 stars for that move. Like it's
Okay.
like
Don't do it. I have a toddler, so I just want to know.
Yeah.
That's not true. We took a leap of faith because we thought we might be serving in sort of an interim function in Haiti before that previously. So we thought about what it would mean to move internationally. That did not work out, partially because I got pregnant. And then my husband had done a lot of work both in Paris and then in Italy for his job. So when this opportunity came up for me, we simultaneously went on this parallel like HR track, and he was offered the position at the same time I was, and it wouldn't have worked out had we both not received that. And we thought, okay, we do have an infant and a toddler, but if we don't do it now, will we ever? And I think like it was just this great leap and saying we would love this experience and this perspective for our children and like this opportunity. So why not? And the rest is history.
I love that. That is so great.
It was the right move if you stayed to them being teenagers.
It's really wild because it goes, obviously, you know this, it goes so fast. It's such a different thing when you're in this situation where you can take so much to move.
Yeah.
And so a school year will go by and you're like, oh, we haven't done anything to move back. So I guess we're staying another year.
Yeah.
Here we are. And we did that for a while, to be quite frank. Like once I left my position, we kind of had a regroup and said, do we want to go back now? And we really didn't. The kids were happy. They had friends. They were speaking French. My husband liked his job. And I was like, okay, well, I'm an unemployed English-speaking pastor. It's fine. And I hadn't even intended to work, and we didn't know how long we were going to stay. Then my business and ministry started to explode, and then we bought a farm. And so, you just follow the next best faithful step, you know, and that's what it was for us.
Everyone's doing that, even if they're pretending they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for your kids, I would imagine France really feels like home by now.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting to raise these third culture kids where they're not really French, but they're not really American. There's something in between, and you have to live into that. That irony for us, of course, is that we live in France and they play American football and live and breathe it. But even there, you know, they're still very French. So we try to give them as much as we can of both cultures, we're Americans, so we speak English at home, and all their friends want to come eat our junk food and speak English.
Right.
So we just try to live this middle.
Yeah. And so tell us about your book that is just coming out.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hybrid. My favorite part of the book are the quirky liturgies and prayers and blessings that are at the end of every chapter. And there are a lot of chapters in this book. They're short, almost choppy. And I did that very intentionally because when I was leaving church, leaving my posts and recovering from what that was in my life at that moment, I really lost my ability to read. I love to read. I love to think theology, and I just couldn't do it. It was too foggy. It was too sad. It was too broken. And I wished I had a small book to pick up where I could have read a chapter, said a prayer, and put it down. So I wrote this book for the brokenhearted, the wondering, the wandering, and everyone like me. So I have given a little story about my time in the church, my time rediscovering my call and my identity as a pastor, as a mom even, and also now as an immigrant. And then talk a little bit about healing and grounding, specifically in the ground, and what it means to be on the farm now and retreat into that slower way of life.
So what kind of farm are we talking?
It's not a real farm. I like to say farm because it's super
Love it.
cute to say. And
Great, I'm into it.
it's a farmhouse. It's technically a French farmhouse. So we have orchards and we have lots of flowers. It's like a flower farm as well. I cut flowers for a wedding that I had there. It was amazing. But if you want apples, we can press cider for you. If you want pears, we've got those. We have so many plums. I didn't know what to do with them this year and picked like 60 kilos the week before we left.
Wow.
Cherries, raspberries, blackberries, everything you could want, and then veggies. So we are living a somewhat slower farming lifestyle with the perks of also not.
But like, what airport will Ruth and I fly into?
Oh,
Yes,
well,
that's really the question.
Easy, super easy. You'll fly into Orly Airport, then you can, or Charles de Gaulle, because we can get you from either of the big
Okay.
airports.
Okay.
You can take a train, and then I will pick you up in my car and take you 20 minutes to our house. Super easy.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
I'm loving where I'm thinking like the fifth season is we just go to all the former guests that are in super cool places.
What a good idea.
Because we had
The
two
tour.
bee-related people.
Yes. Excellent. Michelle, is that okay if you're part
Oh.
of the tour?
Yes, I
Uh-oh.
love that.
Let's be a travel show. Why not?
Oh, good.
Perfect.
So, Michelle, a lot of times on this podcast, we talk about just the practice of creativity. And tell us a little bit about your practice. Do you need specific circumstances to write or time of day, or is it just whenever you get a moment?
If I needed specific circumstances, I would never write, I think, based on my life. At one point, my husband did joke that he was going to get me shower markers because I would come out of the shower and be like, I have an idea. Don't talk to me. I need to write it down. But I do a lot of thinking in the shower. It's why I wrote a liturgy for shower sobbing. It's important for me. But I love, now that we are out in the countryside, I love to take my morning coffee outside to look at the flowers and to just see how nature inspires me. But that's not always. I am also still working and a mom and so many other creatives trying to squeeze it into the moments where we have space. And so I always carry a little notebook or have my phone and think about something. I'll write it down and be like, I'll come back to you. And it's almost like a prayer. It becomes something embodied, and I wish it were a more serious practice, but
With writing this book, had it been a goal of yours for a while?
yeah. And I rewrote it 3 times.
Wow.
For lots of reasons, but I think it started out, this is such a unique book too, because it's a little bit of my story, a little bit of this creative practice of writing liturgy and prayers. And it didn't start out that way. It was so many mountains, so many valleys. And I'm really glad it didn't go out in its first 2 forms because that would not have reflected who I am today. And it's been a very long process. I've put this project down several times. And I think how it was published in the end was how it needed to be, lots of reasons, but it better reflects my voice now because of those things, those creative, quirky blessings things. And I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
Did the changes come from input from the publisher? By the way, we should mention that your publisher, they are friends of the podcast.
Yeah.
Home, is it T Home or Tay Home?
I say Tay Home, but now I'm questioning my life choices.
Yeah, Angela Yarber, she's been a guest on our podcast, and so her publishing company. And yeah, did they give you notes, or were the changes ones that you decided?
This is where Dr. Ange was just absolutely the best choice in publishers, because I had been around the publishing block by that moment for a while and had some really fruitful conversations with some publishers. And it always came to be like, would you take the prayers out, or would you take the scripture out, or would you take the this out? And so when I turned in the manuscript, it was never a would you take this out? By that point, I mean, it was edited, it was ready, and Dr. Inge was like, yes, let's go. So it was such a nice change from what I had experienced previously and had said no to. No, I'm not willing to take out all of the references to scripture in this spiritual memoir.
Yeah.
Just the idea that there is a publishing company that exists that upholds voices that want to dive into spirituality and that are feminist and that are inclusive. It was just a breath of fresh air.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad that you found each other.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Had you known her before, or was it just you saw?
No, it was a colleague that recommended her to me, who also then ended up publishing her dissertation with Dr. Ange. So it was just this really beautiful connectional web of ministers, which is often how it works out. And when we talked, I was just like ready. And yes, it was such a divine, like, okay, this is going to happen and it will be good. And I think there were some people, particularly in the Christian world, that may have been a little frightened off by my story as well. And she never once seemed frightened by the hard parts. And that was also meaningful for me.
While you've been home here in the States, have you been trying to share the book some, or has there been any time for something like that?
I thought there would be more time, but I was also really blessed. I had 3 amazing events, one of which was at my church, my parents' church, where I was baptized, confirmed, ordained, and married.
Wonderful.
So it felt a little bit like coming home. And I cried like every 2 minutes. It was so emotional for a lot of reasons, I think. But just to see, I walked into the room and they had decorated so beautifully for me and they had prepared it. And it just felt so special. And people came out and they wanted my book and they wanted me to sign it. And I was like, what is happening here?
That's beautiful. I love that.
It's lovely when people have a groundedness like that. I grew up moving around more. For you to have one place, and then it almost launches you into saying, okay, I'll live overseas. I know I have this place I could come back to.
It's true. And I do talk a lot about home in my book, but it's also where people are and where your spirit is. And it's like, it can be both places. That's what's so incredible about it. And like, you can always go home wherever that is. It's just like being in that moment where I was like my Sunday school teachers all those years. And it was really special.
Yeah. And very much a privilege to have that. I love it.
It's a super huge privilege. And to see my parents, I call it my parents' congregation, but it is mine as well. First of all, the pastor there is an amazing woman. And to see how far she has led that congregation, also incredible. And like, what a privilege it is for me to sit on the outside of that and be like, yeah, in the 80s, we had a refugee family before I knew what that was.
Before it was cool.
Yeah. But to understand that it was always progressive, but to see them blossom and even go farther has been. It is a beautiful picture of church, which is so opposite of what so many people have experienced in the institutional church. And I'm like, I always uphold that. And no, wait, look, there are people who are doing it so well.
Who are some of your favorite creative people, Michelle?
There are so many. And what a privilege I have, because I work with creatives all the time. I work with the best photographers in Paris. I work with makeup artists that can make anything look good. And I stand in awe of all these people. And that pastor with a theology degree, I don't do these other things. And I sort of weaseled my way in. And they were so welcoming. And I get to see these everyday creatives. I know there's so many people to name. writers and poets and huge names. But my privilege is to work with all of these people who are, I guess, a little bit like me in Paris every day, whether it's a chef who like creates before you and then you get to eat it, or the photographer that captures the moment. I am so incredibly privileged. So they're by far my favorite creatives, the Paris creatives that I work with.
That is great. And how have you built this business in Paris? Like, how have you gotten about getting the word out about that you're the person to call if people need something done?
Yeah,
I mean,
English.
In English, right. I think it was truly one wedding at a time. And those creatives that I was just talking about, they also started to say, oh, like you're that pastor. Yep, I'm that pastor. Like call me up. Building that network of other creatives. And some are French and some are English speaking. But the Paris creative world isn't as much as you think it must be enormous. Like it's pretty small. And so we do get to know each other and we network. We go to the same events and you see each other like on any given day when I am under the Eiffel Tower marrying someone. Like there's probably 10 photographers that I know all taking pictures of couples. There might be another wedding or two happening at the same time. So we all kind of get to know each other. You wave, you're like, you're all doing the same thing.
It's also like there's one obvious place everyone's going to choose. So you will run into people.
Yeah.
It's a nice gathering spot.
It really is. And as much as we're like, we have to go early because everyone's going to be there, then we're like standing there at sunrise. We watch the sunrise at the Eiffel Tower and I marry people. Like, what a dream. I've really come to understand life as just these little sacred moments, and that this life of sojourning, everything is for but a moment. So even if this thing that I get to do of marrying people is for but a moment, it has been such a privilege. And if I have to leave Paris tomorrow, I will take that memory with me and just say, wow, what a moment that was and what a privilege.
As you think about your business that you've built, and as you look ahead to the future, whether it's business or maybe something else that you're dreaming about, is there anything that Dawn could give you coaching on today?
Such a lovely question. I think our main concern, this immigrant life is so difficult in so many ways because our family is not with us. And it sounds so stupid to say that we're big family people, and here we are, we moved all the way across the ocean.
It can mean all kinds of things. Being a big family person doesn't mean living in the same town.
Yep.
Right. But as our parents age, we are really feeling a draw to come back. And then my sister-in-law also has cancer, and she has 2 little boys that we maybe want to be more there for. And so my biggest fear maybe right now is that all of this somehow would be gone.
So the core fear is like you've built this whole business and it would need to go away because family needs you.
Yeah. Exactly. So how could it change, or how could I like evolve to take a piece of it with me, whatever piece that might be, and not fear losing it? Because again, the whole thing has been a privilege and such a gift from God. Like I shouldn't fear losing that because it's a gift, right? A gift can go away. And I don't want to be stuck in that mentality.
There'll be the grieving that it's over. And then there's also the one thing you're taking away is the ability to build a business. You can do it again if you want, if you feel like that needs to be in your life.
Yeah.
What is the core of the fear? Not knowing when it needs to happen, having to do it last minute, like losing everything you built.
I think it's a bit of the losing everything I've built because, I mean, man, the hustle when you're starting a business, like I think you guys would know that.
Yeah.
That's part of it. I think, too, it's a bit of an identity crisis because now I'm the pastor that stands under the Eiffel Tower. But if the Eiffel Tower's gone, what am I?
I feel like the lady of Lancaster County or whatever, Allegheny, would just get you a call somewhere else. They seem to make things happen. But yes. So have we already ruled out that you don't live a double life?
We haven't ruled that out entirely. But I think what we've learned, even from just being in Paris and coming home, if you call this home stateside, that it's difficult and it's like tugging on your heart tremendously to want to be in the place that you're not, or vice versa. I don't know. I don't think it's out of the question. And I think I could do some and I could go back and forth a little, but I almost don't know if I'd want that either.
Okay. So it sounds like you have to build an identity beyond the act of doing weddings under the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. And I think I have. And I think in this last year that has like really exploded. And I wonder if that was partially setting a path for me. I picked up writing gigs that I'm like, oh, I'm a journalist now and I write political op-eds, and the retreats have been so amazing. And I could do that anywhere. And I think my business started to evolve very naturally beyond just the weddings. So maybe it's setting the stage for the next phase without me needing to be like, okay, I need a 10-month plan and I need it.
As we said before, the next right thing, what you did
Right.
moving to France with an infant and a toddler.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's okay to live that way and to just be faithful in that.
And be building these other strands that could be anywhere in the world, like the writing.
I think
and the
it's
retreats.
hard to be an entrepreneurial pastor. Because look, you're
Yes.
like, oh, that's not even a real thing. Like, I had plenty of people say that to me when I was like, I focus on weddings. So that's not a real thing. You can be ordained online to do that. It's like, yes, you can. But
You're doing it differently.
yeah,
Clearly, it's a thing because people are paying you to do it. So shut up, naysayers.
Yes.
And thanks. Goodbye.
yeah. And like, I grew to be okay with that. And also because I have this persona that's like pretty fluffy and I wear lipstick and, like, that's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bother me either. So I feel like I can probably overcome that.
So an entrepreneurial pastor, would you feel better if you made a list of 10 things you could do stateside?
Probably.
Just so it's not a jumping into the great unknown. If all of a sudden you find yourself in the United States,
Yeah.
you would know what to want.
Yeah. Might be lovely.
Michelle, you should be part of our Discern by Doing for business people, because I'm at the same place too, where it's evolving.
Yeah.
And I can feel it, and I'm not exactly sure what that means, but
Thank you for joining us for Created Creative.
don't forget to follow us on social media if you haven't already. And if you enjoy this episode, share it with a friend.
And go create something.
Go create something. Anyway, I just feel like you would be really fun to have part of the group because we're
Ooh.
talking about a lot of those things.
Send me info. But what you said really strikes me. Like, you can feel it.
Yeah.
So what part of this could you do in the next 7 days? What
Okay.
could you actually do? Some very small step to put a little bit of this fear in its place. Fear is real, but it doesn't need to control us.
Yeah. I do think a little list. I love lists.
Oh, good.
I could probably make a little list. And I already have started. It's so funny you should say that because I already have started to do it. Like, I reached out to one of my favorite colleagues here and I'm like, hey, do you need a new chaplain? What up? Some things that I've always wanted to be on a hospice chaplain or
Here we are.
So here we are. And I'm like, oh, can I be a substitute French teacher? Like,
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think I have already started that list in my head, but maybe putting it on a little sticky note.
Yeah. And then putting it where we can keep adding to it and see it every day. The sticky
Yeah.
note wherever you keep it.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Michelle, for taking time to talk with us, especially at the end of 3 whirlwind weeks in the States here. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know. I need a week to sleep, but that isn't happening.
And if people are interested in picking up a copy of your book, where would you direct them to?
You can get it directly from the distribution from the publisher, which is Ingram Spark, but you can get it pretty much wherever books are sold online and through bookshop.org. You can also support your favorite local bookstore.
Yay.
Yay! Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Created Creative.
Don't forget to follow us on social media if you haven't already. And if you enjoy this episode, share it with a friend.
If you're interested in our upcoming Discerned by Doing 6-month group coaching, we have one starting at the beginning of November for anyone in transition around their call or their ministry adjacent job. And then one specifically that we mentioned in this episode, Discerned by Doing for Business, for the more entrepreneurial pastors who are pursuing side hustles alongside ministry or as a central part of their ministry. You can go to discernedbydoing.com to learn more. And go create something!
Go create something.